Well, are we good now? Are we good? Okay, I think I'm good, but where Borky, are you here? No, now we can hear you. Okay. Well, there you go. Listen, I take 1 week off from the podcast, and this is what happens. It all goes to hell. All the things I thought I'd learned, I realize I haven't. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Just Saying Season 3, Episode 12. Finally, we're underway. And joining me tonight is Borky. Pyro's got a sore throat, so he begged off. And then me and Bromeo were good to go, and then Escom... Huh? What? Okay, apparently there's an echo now. This is excellent. Why would there be an echo? Well, Borky, good to have you. You talk in the meantime. And introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. It's my second stint on the SSA podcast. A pleasure to be back. Of course, it's sad that Pyro and Bromeo aren't joining, but at least you get to hang out with Graybeard still. You'll just get my little face over here on the side in the meantime. But nonetheless, I still know what I'm talking about when it comes to SSA, so no threat there.
All right. Well, I am going to... I can't figure out why I'm doubled up. Okay, well, I'm going to ask this question. Is still an echo? Yeah, I know there's still an echo. I know why. There it is. I think I found it. I think I found it, everybody. All right. I think there's going to be one of me. Are we good? Are we good? Has Graybeard sorted out his technical rubbish? I think he has. Okay. Borky, welcome to it. So tonight's episode is pretty simple. RLCS is on the way back. We have open for starting this weekend with qualifiers. Sign-ups close tomorrow, so we're going to talk about everything we can. Open number 4, everything we know. And then we have a pretty cool broad public release of a resource that a few people have been working very hard on, including you, Borky, you, me, and D Money, been working hard for the past couple of months to get this out there and ready.
So excited for everybody to be able to see this. I mean, it was a headache. I'll be entirely honest with what has gone into this project, making sure that it's ready. But I mean, just seeing the product and being able to test and play with it, I'm so excited for everyone else to be able to finally start using it. And I don't want to spoil it. We'll get to that later.
All right. Well, given the technical panic at the start, I didn't even say hello to everybody in chat that is here. Etienne Dazel, who messaged me earlier today, he's like, my life is incredibly boring. When's the podcast coming back? So hello, Etienne. Good to have you there. Marcy, formerly known as Willant, is here. Acid, what a legend. 38 months of subscribing. Great to have you, Acid. And then Tanya, good to see you. And who else we got? Honeybee. And that's all that's been involved in chat. I'm sure we'll get more there. All right, well, let's begin with signups. Where we stand right now is that signups close tomorrow at 5 o'clock for open number 4. And the excellent news is that with what have we got? Just under 22 hours to go. So still time to sign up. There are, I'm going to do a quick refresh of this page. The total number of signups as we stand right now are 97. 97 teams have signed up, which means we are exactly 30 away. If we can get 30 more teams to sign up, we will be at the highest number of signups ever for an RLCS event in SSA. So that's what we're shooting for. And there are teams that aren't yet signed up. So like teams I know are going to sign up. So I think we are very likely to hit that number, Borky, and that will be huge. You know, that's the main number that Epic cares about, and they have got to see that there continues to be strong interest from the SSA region for RLCS.
And it's so exciting. I mean, we're literally watching teams sign up as the podcast is going on right now. It was just at 96. So I'm excited to see as that continues to grow. And we know how signups go. Most people usually wait for last minute, but that it's going to be massive when inevitably that sign up mark is hit. Because as you were talking about Epic, that's what they care about. And I think that's the biggest way we can say, hey, you gave us the 2/3 rule that we've been asking for, and here's the interest that this region and this scene has for Rocket League.
I was thinking about the 1v1 today because, that's coming up toward the end of the split. I think at the end. I don't know if it's after open number 6 or just before, but there and thereabouts, we're going to have the RLCS 2026 1v1. And there's been no announcement about how the 2/3 rule might be applied to the 1v1. But I guess, and I don't know what your thoughts are on Borky, but I guess the obvious answer is that you can sign up for the 1v1 if you've played in SSA or haven't played anywhere else in the world. So it's not just a free for all, anybody sign up, but I think it will be restricted to players. So if you're an EU player that has played in SSA this season, then you're probably allowed to play in the 1v1. I don't know. As I said, there's been no announcement, and I'm not quite sure how that would work.
Yeah, I think that's just going to have to come down from Epic and Psyonix on what their plan is from there, I guess Blast. But I agree that I think it should be, I mean, obviously I don't want to punish any of the EU players that have been playing in SSA. So obviously I'm more than welcome to have them in for their involvement. But I think it should be capped specifically at that. And I think that same standard should be in place for the 2v2. I think that if I'm going to be honest, for the 2v2, I'd like to see a like 50-50, if anything.
I wanted to check that, actually. I wanted to see if there are dates for... No, I'm checking on Liquipedia now, and there's absolutely nothing on both the 1v1 and the 2v2. So there is zero information as it stands in terms of how those are going to work. But those are coming. That is not now. Hello, Raids. I do see you there. Good to see you. So I thought what we would do, Borky, is we're going to go through the top 8 because the transfer window closed yesterday at 5 o'clock. And there have been some transfers. And I am gratified to say that it wasn't an apocalypse. In seasons past in SSA, we see usually the top 2 teams are kind of rock solid. And then everybody else, it's an absolute apocalypse in terms of the rosters, and for the most part it hasn't been, and I'm pleased to see that. But let's go through the top 8. Let's see who's sticking together, who's not, what the rosters are looking like in the top 8, and then we'll take a look at some interesting rosters that have confirmed and are signed up ready to go for the openers this weekend. And the first on the list are the Pioneers, and that's a fairly obvious one. We knew they weren't going to change up, although I did message Big Sin at the Pioneers just to say, because it must have been massively disappointing for them, Borky, to not win the first split and go to the major. And part of me was nervous that they might in a fit of panic decide to switch up the roster, but confirmed that they are sticking together, and this is the roster that is signed up for Open 4.
Yeah, I was really hoping as well that this roster wouldn't break up. Obviously, not the result that they were hoping for. I mean, this team was one of the favorites coming into this split for everybody to make the major. And of course, 5 Fears in Open 2 and Open 3, putting on some very strong showings in the grand final. I mean, some of the best series of Rocket League I've ever watched within SSA. And I feel like that kind of speaks for itself on why this roster shouldn't break up. I know there was a little bit of controversy. I think Louis P didn't have his full setup and got lost by Air France. So I was kind of taking that with a grain of salt and just kind of hoping that, it's a new split. There's time between Boston and Split 2. Hopefully they'll just be able to get all his luggage situated traded, and then with him playing in country, be able to, get more reps in on the low ping. And I mean, To Die For had one of the best performances open three I think I've seen from him in a very long time. So I know this Pioneers roster, if they continue to work out the few of the wrinkles that they have, I'm not too worried about them coming in. And I know that 5 years in them, they're going to go right down to the wire yet again.
Yeah, and I keep thinking of it was such a great competition in that first the first split, and the difference between winning and losing Boston came down to an open net miss for me, an open net miss by the Pioneers on Neo Tokyo on the final day of the final split. If they'd punted that open net, they would have won game. They would have won the final open on Neo Tokyo. They missed it, lost Neo Tokyo, and the rest, they say, is history. But Sweaty, To Die For, Lewis P. will be back for Open 4, contesting and gunning for Paris. And speaking of 5 fears, there they are. Also no change. Guns, Tekos, Snowy will be returning to compete. And now it's not just we're halfway through the season. It's not just about Paris. It is also Worlds looming at the end of the split. So a very, very tasty second split coming up. I mean, the wheels could come off by either of these two teams not making the grand final, Borky.
No, 100%. I mean, the stakes were already high enough for the Boston major of who was going to get that spot, but now you're competing for both Paris and Worlds at the same exact time. It feels like the pressure and the stakes are never going to be higher for either of these two teams. And you mean, there's been a lot of teams punching up. I mean, Amma Piano and Bro Crocos we saw during the Boston major were really threatening 5 fears and Pioneers at times. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there is an upset along the way, but I guess I will just have to see. And I'm happy 5 fears obviously should be sticking. I really enjoyed their performance in Boston.
And if my reading of the rules is correct, if let's say Pioneers, well, listen, if Pioneers win every regional, they will go to Paris, and they will have also overtaken in points, and then they're guaranteed for Worlds. But there is this situation: if Pioneers win 2 of the finals and 5 fears win 1, basically a mirror of what happened in the first split, then Pioneers will go to Paris on exactly, well, they'll be, I think, 5 points behind or something. And as I understand it, Borky, and I don't know if you're familiar enough with the rules to agree or contradict in any way, but as I understand it, if they win a single game in Paris, they would overtake 5 fears and go to Worlds.
Yeah, I honestly, I think that they might be tied because 5 fears got like 3 points or so from Boston. So if they do a similar format to what the Boston major did, 1 game is enough to increase yourself in the standings there of your group stage. So yeah, I think you might not be too far off there with just 1 win.
Yeah. All right, well, that's 5 fears. And then third in the standings, the Bro Crows, Jeff, Steak, Ravi. And they've switched out their sub. I can't remember who their sub was, but their sub is now Technic Eagle. So he's sitting in the sub spot. Technic Eagle, who's now at university and can't commit to a full-time Rocket League schedule, but is there if they need him. So also very good to see that they are sticking together, and still tragic that they are unsigned. No org has then picked them up.
Yeah, seriously, for any org that is looking in, if there's a team you need in this region, it is the Bro Crocos. I would say arguably for myself, Bro Crocos is the 3rd team within this region. I mean, it's every regional that split, they were threatening, and they just looked like at any moment they could have accidentally taken a game there and upset the entire course leading up for that grand final in Split 3. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm happy to see Technic back. I know he started off the split on Ox Gaming. Good for him pursuing education, and I'm just happy that he's decided to stick around this.
And I don't know if you caught the interview with the conversation we had with Jeff, and they want to have a real run at going to Paris. And that would be a massive, massive upset, of course. But I'm thrilled that they've got their sights on that they want to challenge for that top spot. But your thoughts on Bro Crocro's challenging Pioneers and Five Fears?
Ooh, it's definitely possible. I know Jeff said that.
Do you know what? It's hard to find someone who's generally more optimistic than I am. But Borky, I think that might be you.
If FIFA E didn't give that away, that I'm super optimistic that anything in this region can happen, then I think this is a good jumping off point from that. But I don't know. The Bro Crocos, every time I've seen them play Five Fears, they're really good at finding those little bit of weaknesses and just making it uncomfortable in those games. And that's what you need, especially when you are playing a team like the Pioneers or Five Fears, who are expected to be the best two teams in the regions. You need to make them uncomfortable so they're not just they're not just coming into there thinking, yeah, this is another game that we're going to be able to pick up on our way to a finals. You make them sweat. You make them say, wait a minute, we have to actually lock in here. And that's exactly what the Bro Crocos have done multiple times this season against Five Fears. I mean, Pioneers have had a little bit of an easier time with them. I think it might just come down to the play style's a little overwhelming. I think Jeff was saying something about the demos when it comes to that. But still, I really, really love this roster. And in my opinion, I could see an upset at some point this season.
A consequence of them not having an org, though, is no resource, because it would be great to bring Stake out here. If he was playing local, I think that would really, really increase their chances. But he is going to be playing remotely. So that is the Bro Crocos. Then we come to our first big change, our number 4 team, Amapiano. The good news is Amapiano are returning. Kexi is no longer on the roster, and they have brought in Kaka, formerly of Hey with Riz, who had 2 second-place finishes last season and three top 4 finishes and 1 top 8 finish. So a serious, and I think it can be argued that Kako is an upgrade for Amapiano in place of Kexi.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of Amapiano, have no fear. Kexi stepping away. Of course, it's going to be unfortunate. I'm a big fan of Kexi. I hope for his success in APAC. But this is definitely not a downgrade in any regards. I think Karka, in my opinion, was one of the better players on Haywood Riz. And for them to be, still interested in the region and staying around, I'm excited to see their reintroduction, because I don't think they played in Split 1.
No. Karka was conspicuously absent in Split 1.
Yeah, so excited to see them return to the pitch, especially in SSA. And then, I mean, we obviously saw how Nitro and Cams were playing this split. Again, another team that's threatening within the top 2. Just have to keep an eye on how Karka is able to elevate the squad, if at all.
And hopefully they can have better comms than what they were saying they had in split number 1, even though it worked well for them. And Olympic comes in as a sub for them. And I see Bromeo was in chat. Bromeo with no power, so you want to be preserving your battery there, Bromeo. So hopefully you got enough juice to at least watch the rest of the stream. And then we come to team number 5, which is Death Cloud Esport. and they have kind of balls things up. I've got Flosi there a sub. I don't know that is still accurate, but Twinza was, well, I don't know who broke up with who. I don't know if Twinza left or if Twinza was kicked, but Twinza is no longer a part of Death Cloud, and I don't think they're Death Cloud. I think they were, so Death Cloud this roster will be playing under another name, but tragically, they didn't bring in their new third before the close of the transfer window. So T-Shao and Tweaks, if they stick together, are going to be, they're going to lose all of their RLCS points. So they will fall out of the top 8, which is unfortunate. They were looking at Tho as a potential third, but I don't know where they're going to land. And as of 3:00 today, which was the last time I went through all the teams, they have not yet signed up. So no idea who their third is going to be.
I do see there in chat from Marzi that Yova is who they picked up for their last. I don't know if that's true or not.
Do you know Yova? I don't know Yova.
Yeah, they're from Cristobal Cologne.
Oh, so must be, was Cristobal Colon Portuguese or Spanish?
Spanish. Yova's a Spanish player.
Of course they're Spanish. Of course. Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's news for me. Thanks for that, Marcy. Good to know. So, well, maybe I can. Well, based on information from chat from Marcy, I'm going to add that in there. So there we go. So no TTT. Now it's TYT. Marcy has sent me something on Discord. Oh. It's official. They tweeted it. It's not just some random information from 1739. That was an hour. That was 2 hours ago. T-Shao tweeted that Yova is joining the squad. I don't know what team name they're going to be playing under. Their sub is Zentox, who's from Reunion, and Darius remains their coach, and their manager is Carlosino. I don't know Carlosino, but he is their manager. There we go. So they won't be Death Cloud. So they're going to be starting fresh. All new roster, no RLCS points. Good luck for Open number 4. Thank you for that, Marcy. Appreciate it very much. And then next up is Looking for Org, who are still looking for Org. Eli Kim has left that roster, and Zany comes on, and I hope so much, Borky, that Zany can settle into a roster. You know, I've spoken a lot about Nitro and kept waiting for Nitro to have his breakout season, and I think he's having his breakout right now. Zany, I feel like I've been waiting on for 2 years.
No, and I agree with you. I hope this roster will be the fit that he needs. I mean, he definitely has the talent to be within the top 8 of SSA. And I think it's just a matter of finding those right puzzle pieces, hopefully with Wordy, the experience there, and then Torres as well. I'm not sure if Zany has played with him before, but I feel like they're going to be a really good roster to help enable him. I just hope that he's able to fit in well with it.
Yeah, and so they'll Werty very rarely not making top 8 on 2 occasions, which is almost unheard of for a Werty roster, and especially with the quality of Torres. And another roster that's kind of the consequence of not having an org, a consequence of still looking for org, is that Torres is playing remotely. So disadvantage there, but I do think this roster can do well. Hopefully they gel, they click, and they get it done. Rumble Truck, hello, and also Stones resubscribing, so thank you very much for that. Good to have you guys here still after all of this time. And then next up, Astronic remains unchanged. Skill still, Devour, Inspire. I don't know if Tubbsy is still the sub, but I've left him on there because I haven't heard otherwise. But yeah, I mean, they would have been disappointed, but they are still top 8. But you will feel like this team should be top 8 every Open.
Oh, 100%. I know they started split one with Anizuma. He's
Yes.
found a bit more success over on rounds. Still not probably the exact success he's hoping for, but I enjoyed this Inspire pickup that they had, and I was very watchful of this Astronic roster because I knew if they were making changes after split one, that it wasn't out of the realm of possibility that another change might come in here. But it seems that they were willing to stick with Inspire. I believe what were they had a rough shoe in out of top 16. I think ran into or they lost to Team HSK, which I know was very upsetting. And then because of that, they ran into Ama Piano, who I've already spoken my opinions on. So I think for them, it was just an off day, and I'm glad they're kind of viewing it that way, and they'll hopefully be able to make that top 8 because there's no excuse that this team shouldn't be making top 8 either.
And the next up is Synthesis, the last of the top 8. Daps, Declan, Meshin, they remain unchanged. They were top 8 twice. They fell out of top 8, I think, in open number 3. And in my mind, this is a team also that they shouldn't be finishing anything less than top 8. They did have one top 6 and should be challenging for that top 4 spot.
Yeah, no, definitely. This, again, it's so impressive to me looking at these rosters for top 8 this year. And I know it's a part of a factor of that 2/3 rule, but just the amount of talent that have started putting together these different combinations to create the best rosters to rival Pioneers and Five Fears. It's been so fascinating. And I really love this Synthesis roster, and especially their social media team and the content that they've been putting out. It's great for the region. So I'm happy they stuck together here. I will apologize. It wasn't the Unity boys paying any help for their split 3 run, but or open 3 run, but hey, we'll take it. And I'm happy that they decided to stick things together.
And then, so those are the top 8. So in summary, these are all, I think I'll summarize it at the end, because now we have some newish rosters, and some that have stayed. So we're just going to look at interesting rosters that I think might have a crack at challenging for top 8. And the first of them is, and I honestly think that SSA have among the best named teams. This for me is a 6 out of 10 name, but nonetheless, the Cooked Cookies, which is Kazudo, Strutic, and Ram. All 3 of those have not had they have not had much success this season. But on the right day, if they gel, if they click, they could find themselves in a top 8 situation.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bunch of countless teams, and I'm sure many of which we're about to see here, that it feels like any given, what is it, Sunday with Swiss can make a top 16, and then any given Friday can find their way upsetting through the upper bracket, or even just catching a team off guard by chance in the lowers. It is possible. I'm a big fan of Ram. I've always have been. I like that their longevity within the SSA region. So I hope this roster works more so for him. And I do enjoy that a lot of these teams are still choosing to utilize that 2/3 rule.
And Ram, of course, is a favorite in the region. Bromeo, who's in chat still, is we know he's a fan, and I'm certainly a fan, and a little bit of a part-time Rocket League player these days. I think sort of out there for the fun rather than the tense high-level competition. But sometimes that can work in your favor, so hopefully it does. And then the winners of the naming competition for Open 4 has got to be this next roster. The Bros. Memeing on the number 3 team, and that's Galaxy Twinzer coming from the old Death Cloud roster, and then Mercury, who was with the Supersonic Legends last split, and Galaxy. He never seems to find a permanent home, but hopefully this is a roster he can sink his teeth into and go for at least 3 regionals with and make some sort of a rumble.
Yeah, I love this team name, but I need to just kind of point out for Galaxy to start this split or to start split 1, he left White Rabbit Gaming to be a sub for Cosmico. Cosmico obviously no longer is around.
Catastrophic decision.
Yeah, it just feels like kind of just caught between a rock and a hard place there. And I think with this roster, they're making the best out of the situation that they've been put into. Twins are obviously leaving Death Cloud. Interesting to see teaming up here with Galaxy and Mercury, but I want to keep an eye on this roster because, I mean, as I just said, a lot of these teams have top 16, top 8 potential, and this is another one of them.
So that's the bros. They are also on the right day could find themselves in a top 8 situation. And then next up, Team HSK, they remain unchanged, and they had a good showing in the last open number 3, last open of the split. So a team that absolutely could ruin somebody, at the very least, ruin somebody else's run for a top 8 finish.
Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly what we saw in Open 3. I mean, Astronic, a team that should have beat them, ended up dropping to lowers, faced Amapiano, got knocked out. But they also beat Akimbo Esports, and that was a team that I was waiting to show up within the RLCS. I think it took them all the way until Open 3 before they showed up. But that was Rubik's, Ram, and Strutic. And I thought I had very high hopes for them, and it was HSK that thwarted their return here and knocked them out of the top 8.
And then speaking of which, I mean, you mentioned Rubik's. Did you mention Rubik's? You did mention Rubik's, right?
Yeah, with Akimbo.
Yeah, so we don't know what's happening with Akimbo because they haven't confirmed their roster, and so yeah, and we see Strutic and Ram elsewhere. So I don't know if Rubik's is making a return to SSA or not. I kind of suspect not, which will be unfortunate, but that is what it is. And then is there another? Oh, this is big news. That now we're going old school. For those of us who have been around for a long time, will remember this org. They are now back in the second split of RLCS 2026. Team Espionage have picked up the roster of Lorax, KV, and Olam, who were they were formerly Project Zero in open number 1, I think, and then opens number 2 and 3, they were Project 1, and now have been picked up by Team Espionage. I actually don't know who. I know. What's his name? Muzz. Muzz used to be involved, I think, with Team. I don't know who does. I don't even know who runs Team Espionage, but they are back in RLCS SSA.
Yeah, no, when you told me that, I was very shocked to hear that Espionage has a return, but it's a welcome return because I feel like regardless of what kind of roster an org is picking up, it's just nice to see orgs still trying to get involved with Rocket League, especially in regions like SSA. So I will absolutely take that. I still don't know that much about the former Project 1 roster. I know KV has been involved with 6-mans. I might be wrong there.
No, 100%. One of the big boy admins at 6-mans.
Yeah, so besides KV, I haven't really heard too much about Lorax and Olam, so I'm very interested to see more about them. And I know they kind of came out of nowhere with Project Zero, upset a little bit in one of the Cash Cups, and then From there, it was a bit quiet until Open 3. They rebranded back to their normal names, and then made a splash yet again. But I'm just gonna have to keep my eye on them before I have too much to say about what I think about it.
And Bromeo has pointed out that Muzz is Digital Devils, and that is quite right. Another one of those OG orgs that used to be quite active in RLCS and hasn't been for some time. That's where Muzz is. So I'm not sure who Team Espionage are, which is amazing considering how long they've always been on the periphery. And I'm actually thrilled to see them back involved in some way or another. So those are the main rosters that I have to talk about. And then before we move on to other items, a couple of okay. Well, let me give the summary here. So Akimbo Esports, which was Rubex's team, we don't know what's happening with them. Don't know if they've signed up, going to sign up, or what the story is there. Amapiano have changed, as we went over earlier. Astronic are unchanged. Brocrocros are unchanged. Deathcloud are not going to be Deathcloud, and we know now that is Tweaks. Tweaks, T-Shao, and Yova are going to be that roster. Five Fears remain unchanged. LFO have brought in Zany for Eli. And Kundla Style, who had one top 8 run looking good with Peanuts and Dalton, they've fallen apart. And I was talking to Eli a little while ago, and he said he was possibly going to have a team with his brother Dalton. But as of when I checked at about 3:30 today, they hadn't signed up, so not sure what's happening there. But in Kundla Style are now 3 other people. They've made a complete change there. Pioneers are unchanged. Rounds, you mentioned them earlier, Borky, that they're sticking together. That's Marcy Onizuma and Renshiro, thank you. God, when my old brain froze for a moment. And I'm hoping they can do better. They have not lived to potential yet in my eyes, and they've got to make at least one top 8. And then Strive have not made any changes. Supersonic Legends, Mercury's team, they have disbanded. Synthesis are unchanged. SZ5, which was 5BS, Zany, and who was the S? Was that Strutic?
That's a
I
good
can't
question.
remember, but some guy who starts with an S, they have disbanded. Thrive to Greatness have made changes. I don't know who the new roster is right at the minute. Team 10 have disbanded. So I don't know if Snoozy and Tristan are going to be making a return for this split. Team HSK have not changed. The Punishers, they changed? We must actually look at their roster. Unity, I think, are unchanged. They might have changed their sub. I think Sponsor Borbas has come out as sub, and then White Rabbit Gaming are a brand new roster around Wee Casper, of course. So that's pretty much. Ooh, Renshiro's coming down to SA, according to Unguarded Ace in chat. That is huge. I think that's going to help them step up a level. Unguarded, is he coming to South Africa, or is he going to Reunion? Do you know? Yeah, anybody coming here? Thrive to Greatness, of course, is Willow's roster, and their third from France is also coming back. He will be in region. Cape Town. Renshiro's going to Cape Town. Well, there you go. That makes a lot of sense. Cape Town's the place to go.
So to answer one of your questions, the S was Star for Open 3.
Oh, of course it was, yes.
And then in regards to Renshiro, I spoke with him a little bit in, I think it was like Sir Pegasus' Twitch chat. And he was saying, especially because of the Nations Cup and the qualifying countries, it's more than likely that he is coming in to SSA as well. And that the org will be backing that up because they want to get more Finnish representation and more
fantastic
RLCS points.
Nice. Okay, well that's pretty epic. I'm thrilled to hear that. And then starting this Friday are the 2026 Cash Cups. And this was announced during the Boston Major. And it's been a bit of a source of frustration because it was announced at the Boston Major and there was no follow-up article with details. And so I know it starts this Friday. And as I understand it, and have been is that it's not going to be a thing that you sign up on start.gg. You have to download an app called Repeat and sign up there. Then you sign up for the Cash Cups, but you don't play brackets. You just play ranked over the weekend and you get points. They track your games and you get points for wins and losses. And I don't know, but it's starting this Friday and I have no idea how it works. Borky, I have no idea how they work.
Yeah, so I don't know too much. They did make an announcement earlier today, at least Rocket League Esports did.
They did?
Yeah, I can send it over to you. I had it up earlier. So I think that might help break things down a little bit more. I do know from the bit that I did read, though, there was 15 different tournaments, and that's including specific rank tournaments. So silver, gold, platinum, all of them, they get their own tournament categories.
Okay, well, we won't read this live on stream, but I'm sorry I missed this. When was this posted? Oh, 7:08 p.m. That was like 3 minutes after we went live.
Oh,
so yeah, so not exactly enough time.
I saw an article about it, though, that was saying that they were going to have different rank-specific brackets per each group.
Ha. Okay, fine. Well, I'll digest this and put out the details on TikTok so people can get involved there with however it works. Okay, so that's Cash Cups. Oh, and then Six, who played for White Rabbit Gaming last split. He's not been able to find a team, so he wants to get into coaching. So any SSA teams that need a coach from a player who had a few top 8, well, at least one top 8 finish, a top 6 finish, been around the SSA scene for a while. If you're looking for a coach, Six is your man. Send me a DM. I will get you connected up if you need a coach, any SSA teams. So hit me up for that. And I wanted to check. I'm going to do quickly. I'm just going to do a refresh on the start.gg page for Open 4 to see if the number of signups. Yes, we are at 99 signups. 99 signups for Open number 4. And those close now in 21 hours. So bang. If we get 28 more teams signed up, we will smash. We will be at highest ever number of signups. So go and get everybody to sign up if you haven't yet. That was that. And let me have a look here because I wanted to see if there's any other stories before we get into. Oh, Yeah, go ahead.
I do see it's an incomplete team, but as of right now, both Pingu and Dalton have signed up together. Their third hasn't been signed up with them, though.
Oh, I wonder
about why if it might have been trying to team.
Has Eli signed up? Because if Eli's not in there, then that's the roster I think he'll be joining.
I don't see him on here, and trying to search his name, nothing comes up. So,
okay,
they're under the name of Marine Region.
Huh. Now, an interesting story. We had a number of. Okay, yeah, Marcy's just sent me Renshiro's tweet about coming out. That is awesome. So what the hell was I about? I went to visit Casper. Casper from White Rabbit Gaming is also now the esport coach for Centennial Schools. Centennial Schools is a private school not too far from where I live, and I went to the school last Friday to have a tour of the place. And they have an incredible esports facility with a space for like a stage space for finals, and then 30 PCs set up in like a central area where, up to 30 people can compete and play, plus a chill area, a casting booth. And they're having an esport festival on the 8th and 9th of May. And Bromeo and I will be doing some casting for their Rocket League there. Galaxy just slid into chat. Our team might have changed. Of course it might have, Galaxy. Please let me know who. My goodness gracious.
Is that the bros?
That's the bros. Okay, well, do let us know the new roster if you know what it is before the end of... What?
Ooh,
Tweaks and Twinza?
So what does that mean?
Well, what does that mean, Galaxy? You're going to go with Tweaks and Twinza? What? Huh? Okay, that's just confusing. That contradicts the tweet they put out earlier today. Okay, I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, because Teshao tweeted like 2 hours ago.
Ooh, okay. I've just had a DM from Tanya, but looking for a coach. Outstanding, Tanya. I will be in touch very soon about a coach. Fantastic. Very short notice change. I won't lie. Oh God. Is there anything more SSA than that? Hello, Applesauce. Applesauce in chat. What are you LMAOing about, Applesauce? White Rabbit Gaming have their own roster shenanigans. Applesauce and anyway, whatever. Because he knows me. Okay, fine. Well, we're going to leave that as is. We'll break that news when it is final and confirmed. Does that mean you're going to leave Twinza in the lurch? Twinza and Kazudo. That's... Oh, I hate that. Okay, well, good luck. We've got another 21 hours to sort things out. So the other day, I've been playing a lot of Rocket League, and the other day I was in a lobby playing against Galaxy, not the Galaxy that's just slid into chat, but the Galaxy who played for the Wave last regional. And I was like, hey, are you Galaxy from the Wave? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Anyway, we having a bit of a back and forth chat. And then I said, are you sticking with the Wave for the next regional? And he said, no, he just won like over $200,000 and he's moving to New York. And I'm like, bro, you fucking with me? He's like, no, he just won it like a few days ago. So he's out of here. But then I see that he's signed up. So I have a strong feeling that I'm being trolled, but an interesting story nonetheless, Borky.
Yeah, I don't know how to really take that story.
Me neither, but I had to get it off my chest.
Maybe they're playing live from New York. We'll find out when we can see the ping in the game. But
yeah, exactly.
Do we know if the Wave is still the same three players? I know it was OG, Galaxy, and I think it was Pandak as the third.
Sorry, say that again. I'm getting very distracted by Galaxy in chat. He's confusing the hell out of me. What did you just say, Borky?
I said, do we know if the Wave is maintaining as the same three that we saw?
I think so. I think they are.
Okay.
I think they are. I did see him signed up there, so that's all I was really focused on when I had a look. Okay, Borky, let's chat about this little project about which I am so incredibly excited because I think it is the first in the world. And I think as other people get to see it, they will follow our example. And it all began with a DM that I got from Eli Kim. On the 7th of January, I got a DM from Werty. And you're not going to be able to read that because it's tiny and I didn't have time to figure out how to resize it and whatever for the stream. So he drops me this message and he says, how would I get stats from all our RLCS SSA regionals, such as which players have the most RLCS matches played? And that got me thinking that we actually don't have a resource, and every time on broadcast, when we're looking for detailed stats, it's a bit of a scramble to get those detailed stats. So I started looking into this, and I roped in the help of D Money, who is a former player, because I put out a message and said, hey, I'm looking for help. And then Borky also got involved, and that started a chain of events. And that chain of events was basically, firstly, making sure we had replays for every game of SSA RLCS since we started in season 2021-22. And that in itself was crazy difficult. Which was a bit of a surprise, and I have to do a shout out here for Skill Steal. Skill Steal had a whole bunch of very obscure replays from games we couldn't find in the saved replays. So we got all the replays together, which represents about somewhere between 5,800 and 6,300 games of SSA RLCS, and got them all into one place. Then they were all downloaded, and it has to be said there are some missing individual game replays that are missing. So out of the 5,800, I think about 20 individual games are missing, which is remarkable, Borky, that we were able to be that complete. So 20 out of 5,800 ain't too bad. And then there are some excellent tools in the Rocket League community, and one of those tools is Carl, which I'm sure a number of people in the Rocket League scene are familiar with. If you coach teams, you definitely use Carl. It extracts out of a replay some of the most incredible number of stats. And we put all 5,800, let's call it 6,000 replays through Carl to extract the individual stats. And every single thing you can think of in a game of Rocket League, Carl will extract. And that in itself took about 3 or 4 weeks to run all those replays through Carl. And then they were put into a spreadsheet. And I thought I would show you what those spreadsheets look like. Give me 1 second here while I find those. Okay, here's one of them. This is the replay spreadsheet for the 2021-22 season. This is what it looks like, and if you instantly want to fall asleep, then yeah, that's exactly it. This is every series played throughout the whole season, and I will then run you through all the stats that were extracted. There it goes. It's just column after column after column of stats. In a spreadsheet, for those of you familiar with spreadsheets, it goes all the way to column JP. It's wild. And then we married up every single replay with what game what series it was. So firstly, what split it was, what regional it was, what part was it in Swiss, was it the upper finals, lower finals, and we got all of that information into one place. So we had a complete database of every stat from every game played for the entire season. And then, and that work was done by myself and Borky, and that includes like getting all the information from Liquipedia on forfeited games, who forfeited, where did they forfeit. So we have the information on what the forfeited games were. Essentially, all the information about every game of RLCS for the what is it, 21, 22, 22, 23, 24, 25, 4.5 seasons that we have been involved in RLCS. And then D Money, and I don't know how many people in chat are familiar with D Money. He's a former RLCS player in the meantime, and he has gone on to become a software engineer. He then coded all of this information and put together a website. And that website has been going through a bit of a beta testing phase with myself and Borky and a few other people we roped into to test. And this is phase one. We have huge ambitions for this website, but I am very pleased to present the broad public release of the RLCS SSA Stats Hub. And there it is. And if you do exclamation stats in chat, which I will do for you now, it'll give you the link to this website. It is a fully public website available to anyone to go and have a look at. And when you first see it, what you are presented with are the current RLCS standings for this season, as we are, but you can then go back and have a look at the standings for every season we've been into. So if you wanted to see what the standings were for RLCS 2021-22, there you have it. Orlando Pirates, Bravado Gaming, ATK, Apex, DNMK, etc. How about the season after that? Bang, there are the standings as they were for that season. Then over here on the left-hand side, you will see head-to-head. Now, in the head-to-head section, you can put up to 6 players or teams to compare them on any stat for any season, for any regional, for any series. You can compare how teams or players performed. So let's have a look at Amapiano. Amapiano will be one team. And let's see how they compared against Death Cloud Esport. You type in Death Cloud. No, that was old school Death Cloud. So let's look at the current Death Cloud squad. T-Shout, Tweaks, and Twinzer. Then what you will have is, there you go. There it comes up with. What happened to Death Cloud? Death Cloud disappeared. Well, there you go. Live demos.
I have extensively stress tested this site, and that is the first time I have ever seen that happen.
Well, let's see if it'll come up now. But there you can see the head-to-head against Death Cloud and Amapiano. Okay, so Death Cloud's having a problem there. But where they have played each other, you can see Amapiano and Death Cloud have faced each other twice. And Amapiano have come off on top on both of those occasions. Well, let's see if we can do Bro Crocros. Say that again.
There's always that conversation this season, guns versus to die for. That's a good comparison you could do.
Okay, well let's go check that out. Hopefully the Bro Crocros will load up here. And you can see Amapiano have beaten the Bro Crocros. Okay, so there's a little bit of an issue here. So let's look at To Die For and guns. To Die For versus guns. And should we get them for 2026?
Yeah, just because that's the most recent
Okay,
data.
so let's do 2026. And there you go. And you can compare them in any stat. So you can add the stats you want to see. Right now it's doing goals, assists, saves, and demos. You could do any of the multitude of stats that are available. But there we can see they've Guns has played 67 games, To Die For's played 66. Their average goals, To Die For's winning that race. Guns is winning the assists race. To Die For's winning the saves race. And To Die For is winning the demos race. And then every player where you see their name, you can click on it and it'll bring up that player's profile. And it'll tell you the teams they have been on in RLCS. It'll tell you their most recent results. You can get To Die For's results for 2021. And those are his 2021 results. First, second, third, first, third, fourth, second. And you can do that for any season. You can then check any stat of his throughout that time. And then you'll see there's an option to include LAN events. So we know To Die For's been to LAN. So if we click that, the stats will show what his, will include results from LAN. And that's available for every player that has played. So top performing. Well, let's have a look. This is on the home page, and these are the top 6 players, highest in-game score. This is across all seasons. To Die For holds the record for the highest in-game score of 1,642. And in the top 6, To Die For has the top 2. And then Torres, Berichu, Motion, and Friction hold the rest of the top 6 records. The most number of goals scored in an RLCS series was scored by Original when Apex Gaming played Team Espionage all the way back in 2022-23. And my favorite stat, the longest overtimes in RLCS, the record from open number 2, 5 Fears and Pioneers, a 9-minute 45-second overtime. And beating second place by 1 minute and 42 seconds. And there we go. So this any stat you want to know, you can find on this website, and I'm enormously proud of it. And Borky, so this is version 1. Where we want to go with it is eventually anything you can pull out of Carl, we want to be. So the heat maps, the charts, the graphs will be available through this website.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so incredible. I mean, other esports, I mean, you can take a look at Counter-Strike, for an example. They've got their HLTV where you can find these more exact stats for everything that happens. And for Rocket League, it's just non-existent. You have your Start GG and your Liquipedia, but that's about it for a resource. You don't have anything that takes you into the real nitty-gritty. And I mean, I was playing around with this, and I remember I was messaging you, and I'm sure which was probably annoying, just all the random and crazy little stats that I was able to find about SSA from around the years. Where I mean, I was literally digging into boost stats and boost pad consumptions. So it's really just awesome what you can do with this tool, and just being able to see and break down and get a better understanding for what this region is and how it has been.
And then here's an example of, I've clicked on open number 4 from 2025. It'll give you the top teams, so the top 8. Then on the right, you can see the bracket from Liquipedia. If you then want to see it on Liquipedia, you can click on there, and it'll take you to the Liquipedia page for that open, and you can see what went down there. And then for that open, you can see the top 10 players, and you can see the top 10 players of any stat you want. So, for example, the top scorers in Open 4 last season: Energizer, Leoro, Ivan, Inspire, Vesh. My word, it's all EU players. Oh my goodness, top scorers. No SSA player made the top 10 there. Top executioners, Demo. Snowy was at the top with 2.05 demos per game in that Open, and so it goes. Then you can pick here at the bottom. You can pick any stat you want. and you can literally search. If you click add stat, these are all the stats that are available for you to have a look at. They just go on and on and on. What stat you want to look at? 50-50s. How much time in the air? Speed. Max speed in the defensive zone. Max speed in the offensive zone. And on it goes. Borky, you're talking about boost usage. Look at all of these stats which have got to do with boost usage. And then demos. How many times were you killed? How many times did you kill others? And on it goes. So it's a really, really complete set of data. And I do think a first in the world. I don't think this exists for any other region in the world. And this will be updated live. So, and I should say here that this includes top 16. So this is all the stats from main event, from top 16. From the Friday night part. In phase 2, we will be getting, we don't have the replays from all the qualifiers, so we won't have that, but we will at least have the teams that competed in qualifiers and where they finished. All the basic Liquipedia information will be added to this database going forward. And there we go. And it is completely publicly available. And I hope, for me, this is a content dream. You know, if you want to make some content of what has happened in SSA RLCS, you can go and find it in this website. And I should say, there's a feedback button on the website. So as you use it, if you see a feature that's, well, if it's broken or if you have an idea of what you'd love to see the site, hit that feedback button, put it in there. We're collecting all the feedback as we go so we can build this out and make it even better as time goes on. But to come back to my point, I mean, there is so much content that can be extracted out of this.
No, I mean, you've really outdone yourself with this project here, Greybeard. I gotta give you the flowers where it's due as well. I know you mentioned myself and D-Money, but the amount of work and hours that you poured into this has been unreal. And the end result that we've gotten here is just phenomenal. I know you came to me, or you came to all of us with the player cards. And when you brought out the player cards, I know that was a big success. Well, you just took that 10 steps higher to the next level. There's player cards and with complete history and results. There's so much that can be done from this. And I know everyone that I've shared it for, because obviously I'm a caster, I've been the team stream scene. You just made everyone's life there 10 times easier with figuring out rosters, how this roster has done. And I can't wait to see how the average viewer or just enjoyer of the scene is going to be able to get away with using this website.
Yeah. Shout out to Papa Capes who's in chat. Yeah, we have come a long way, mate. And there's and I want to say thanks to Eli, because it was his sort of random DM that kind of sent me down this rabbit hole to make this. There is another. I'd like to show this part. So we've got this head-to-head section, but below that is top performing teams and players. So if you want the top 10 of any stat for any season, any regional, anything, you can go down to a single game if you want. But you could. Well, let's do number of. Is there? I was having goals. We might as well do career goals. And there's a stat I wanted to show. So if you did goals, so let's have a look at goals. So there's the top 10, but this gives the average number per game. But you could also have total. The total number of goals. And now I've selected all seasons. And there we see To Die For at the top. To Die For has scored the most RLCS goals in SSA at 953. So it is quite likely by the end of the next split, he will go over 1,000 RLCS goals. But we can include LAN here. So if we include LAN, He has scored 971 goals, so he will definitely cross over 1,000 goals for RLCS goals by the end of this next split, followed by Snowy on 898. But wow, what a gap between the two. I mean, that is 73 goal difference between them. Cam in third place, Skill Steal. The old Unk of SSA RLCS has scored 601 goals. And then you can do this for teams as well. Who are the top scoring teams? Orlando Pirates have scored 1,410 goals in SSA RLCS. And that includes all rosters of Orlando Pirates. Followed closely. Look at this. This is so interesting, Borky. Limitless. First time I'm seeing this stat. Limitless. And both of these teams have now disbanded. Limitless scored 6 fewer goals than Orlando Pirates.
And it will remain that way for the rest of history unless either of these teams decide to come back.
Oh, man, that's amazing. Look at ATK. ATK haven't been involved for 3 seasons, I think, and they're sitting in third place. Apex, Astronics up there, 685 goals, and so it goes. And of course, this can be, so if we go back to players, we can then bring it down. Oh, and by the way, this does include the 1v1s. We've had a single 1v1 RLCS, but if you wanted to see the stats for that, you can select those as well. So if we look at just 2026, who are the big performers? Tekos for goals has scored 83 goals this season. To Die For on 73. So To Die For not leading here. And of course, the top scorers of the top 6 would be the entire rosters of Five Fears and Pioneers. That makes a lot of sense. And so it goes. Oh, and there's Ravi. Ravi is in the top 10 for 2026 in goals scored. And you can do this for literally any stats. Demos. Let's have a look at the number of To Die For, topping the rankings on demos, followed by Sweaty. Sweaty and Tweaks sharing both on 86 demos. So pretty banger there. And there we go. There is so much that can be done with this website, and I would love for everyone here to go and explore it, dig deep into it, come up with ideas on what we can showcase, what sort of info we should have there. But of all the projects I've been, this has got to be in my top 3 favorite projects to have been involved in. And just because, Borky, no one else has done this, and I am hoping that other regions will jump on this and do something similar for their regions. And I also love the fact that we got the rlesport.gg website for it, which I think is very cheeky, but I love it.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite features. I remember you messaging me when you first got that domain, and I was like, "There's no way!" And I instantly typed in and tried to connect. Nothing came up, but yeah, man, it's truly been worth all of the effort and all of the work seeing this. And I mean, not only is it probably, I can't think of another example of this, but it's setting the bar very high for the other regions, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it and what other people try to make out of this as well.
All right, well, there you go. So go out and use it. Spread it far and wide, and I'd love to get the feedback from everybody that does use it and on how we can use it. So I think that brings us to the end. Where we go to from here is that tomorrow, qualifiers start this weekend. Saturday is the double elimination. Top 16, top 32, I beg your pardon, will go through to Swiss on Sunday. And a reminder, because it's the start of the split, everybody is playing. On Saturday, there are no seeded teams. So Pioneers, Five Fears are all going to have to play on Saturday. The top 32 will go through to Sunday for the Swiss to determine the top 16 who will play Friday, the 20th of March in the GSL bracket. The top 8 from there will play on main broadcast for Championship Saturday and Sunday. So RLCS is back. If you haven't signed up, Don't leave it too late. I'm going to do one more check on where we stand on signups. We were on 99 just a little while ago. As it stands right here, right now, we are on 99. That hasn't crossed the 100 just yet, but by 5 o'clock tomorrow, no doubt it shall. And I will do a watch party type effort on Saturday, and definitely for the stream for the Swiss stage on Sunday. And then the Friday, and then of course we'll be on the main broadcast on the 21st and the 22nd. Borky, anything else we need to cover before we wrap this up?
I think that's all from me. Just looking forward to seeing it finally hit 100, but I got to point out 317 attendees so far. That is amazing.
Say that again.
317 attendees signed up right now.
And a lot of new teams. I have discovered recently that there is an entire Rocket League, an SSA Rocket League audience on TikTok. And I have always hated TikTok, but I got onto TikTok a few weeks ago, and we're reaching new people, getting people into six-mans, getting people into the Rising Star Academy for some coaching, getting people to sign up for RLCS. It is fantastic. It's made me very excited. And that will continue. So that is going to wrap it up. So from me, Greybeard, and Borky, and hopefully Bromeo will have power soon, and hopefully Pyro's voice will recover. But either way, we will continue to bring you all the action. But for the meantime, from us, we are done.